Okay, we're back. I think my mic cut out for a little bit. So what I was basically just saying is that so yeah, if Arcasia is behind Rumberg, that's really good to know in the future. If I ever try to align with Arcasia, thinking it's going to stop Rumberg from attacking me. Then again, if we're all allies, then why would Rumberg attack me? But on the other hand, Arcasia, if I'm allied with them, might then pressure me. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have to give some land to Rumberg, or we're gonna boot you out, and it's gonna turn out they're not really friends at all. Okay.
I say we should consider this offer very seriously.
Very well, accept their offer.
I will send a response immediately.
Then there's a tiny detail we need to get over with. How should we welcome their delegation, sir? We don't want to go extravagant. That's too capitalist. We're gonna just do a plain welcome. And we're not gonna do military either. We don't have much might. That might scare them away. As you wish, I've taken note. Thank you all for attending. As we dispersed, the world map hanging on the wall in the room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often were the lines on the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Okay, country overview has been updated. We're accepting the state visit. Order. Oh, what's this? Expanded human rights. We have some of the best human rights situations in the region. We've also reduced crime. Our police forces lack the necessary power to prevent tragic crimes due to their limited power. However, some suspected individuals that violate security criteria have been apprehended, reducing a portion of crime nationwide. Baby steps. It's all in the first term. State visit of Chairman Malenyev. The door of the pitch-black sedan opened and flashes went off. The famous ideologue, leader of United Kontana, the head of the CSP, Leon Malenyev, came out of the car, smiling and waving at the enormous crowd that gathered. It was not every day the leader of Kontana came to visit Swordland. So let's read him. Or actually, I think we have read him before. But yeah, he's the guy. He is the guy. Ideologically a communist, and he developed a variant. Yeah, the Brothers' Execution. Like, you guys can pause and read this if you want, but I'm pretty damn sure I've read this again, yeah. He led the Rotskis in the 1907 revolution, declared a communist republic by ousting the king. He's for command economy, socialist reforms. It's been developed and interpreted in different schools of thought. Leon Malenyev is one of the most influential. Yeah, I've read this before, of the century. He was wearing his usual political uniform, grayish-green trousers, and a tunic with a soft, turned-down collar, which was famed for its simplistic look. Leon Malenyev stepped on the carpet and started to make his way toward us. Together with Monica, we walked over to meet him in the middle. Finally, I was in the reaching distance of one of the most powerful men in the world. We both looked at each other and shook hands. I have wanted to meet with you for the longest time. You are very kind, Mr. Rain. He turned to Monica and shook her hand. It is nice to meet you, Mrs. Rain. Likewise, Chairman Malenyev. Welcome to Swordland. It's an honor to have you here, he smiled thinly. We then started walking towards the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. He looked at the extraordinary interior design of the Maroon Palace. Statues, paintings, and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. What a palace! He pointed at one of the statues in the corner as we walked. It was a white marble sculpted representation of Albrecht Renan, the founder of the Renan aristocracy. So yeah, more of a people's man than an aristocrat. His father owned most of the raiding company. So this is back in the 1600s. In a time where welfare did not exist, the Renan aristocracy gave the poorest farmers basic clinical treatment in the capital Karakoum, which by 1649 had been renamed to Erlery. Yeah, the country improved. Eric, son of Albrecht, was groomed and took over the leadership. He became the head of Regnan. He pursued an alliance with Agnolia. This is a whole thing talking about like the aristocracy and things like that. But so Albrecht Renan, he was a people's aristocrat. He was the original owner of this place. Let's see. His name is Albrecht Renan, Chairman Malenyev, and yes, he was. Oh yes, Renan. I thought when Tarquin Sol came to power, he worked toward removing the Republic's connection to its feudal past. It is interesting that he removed the images of the last kings, but not the older figures. Was he fond of the aristocracy or the men? I know he despised the kingdom, but I think he still needed a glorious past to make people proud. That's where Renan came in. That's what I suspected. If it is not going to be the kingdom he despised so much, it made sense to look further back. He just left in the parts he liked. Isn't it fascinating how a single person can alter history just like that? At that moment, we passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. Upon our entry, a crowd started clapping. It was composed of various politicians and state figures. Dry martinis were handed to both of us. Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to our guest of honor. People started clapping. With thunderous applause, the jazz band started playing. Together with Malenyev, we started talking to the other people. The reception was in full swing. After some time chatting with the attendees, Malenyev turned to me. Can we go someplace where we can hear each other better? He and I swapped our drinks for elderly maroon 30-year-olds. I knew a special spot. With our drinks at hand, we went down the stairs to the basement. Gradually, the music and the sound of the party started to fade away. We arrived at a cozy little corner office with not much inside other than a table and comfortable chairs. He took a seat and I followed suit. It's very nice of you to throw a party for me before our official talks, but I am still slightly tired from the long journey over the ocean. As much as I tried to sleep through the flight, I am an old man now. So don't mind me if I don't seem too enthusiastic about the reception. I just don't have the same energy of my youth. He smiled and took a sip from his glass, then he sighed. Time is a funny concept, isn't it? You cannot feel it in the moment, only to realize later that your life passed you by, and one day you look in the mirror and see an old man. Let's see here. What do I want to say? I believe you used the time relatively well so far, Chairman Malev. You had a very full life, or when I look at you, I don't see an old man. I don't like that past tense had. When I look at you, I don't see an old man. He laughed. What do you see? A hero of the proletariat? The Red Scourge. Definitely not one of those two. Definitely not one of those two. He sneered. Say it like it is, Mr. Rain. I'm just an old man. There is no need for exaggeration. You can speak your mind freely. I've seen many presidents and world leaders change during my lifetime. I've seen toppled governments, civil wars, and war crimes. I fought against imperialism and the capitalist plutocracies that took its place. I look at the world today and think it has changed so much since I joined the Rotskis as a young revolutionary. But then I look at it again deeper and realize nothing much has really changed. It is maybe even more divided than ever. There are still wars in every corner of the world. There is still poverty, violence, and slavery. Don't you think we need to step up as leaders of this world to try to put an end to this? I completely agree. We need proper international cooperation to tackle these problems. Precisely. And that's where the CSP comes in, the Security Pact, for those of you who don't remember. But before we talk about that, he took another sip from his glass and stretched his hand to me. Hold on. Could you help me? I grabbed his arm and helped him stand up. Can we talk somewhere a little less damp? I need some fresh air. Of course, please follow me, Chairman Malenyev. How old is he? He's been the head of the government since 1910, it's 1957, so he's been in charge for 47 years now. He was a senior theorist in 1901, so he had to have at least been old enough to... I don't know. Let's say he was very young. Let's make him really young in 1901. He would have been 20. Even if he was only 20, by now he'd be 76. Yeah, he's getting up there. Nice hair. Not really any gray, but that happens with some people. Even ones who don't dye it. Sometimes it just stays very dark even when they're older. And then it all goes white at once. Let's see. He pulled out a pipe. Okay, we settled in. Reaching into his distinctive jacket, he pulled out a pipe and placed some tobacco leaves inside. The smell of the leaves was so heavy that it took over all the smells despite being outside. Chancellor Hegel told me a lot about you. While preparing his pipe, he lit it with a match. His eyes drifted away from me while the wind blew his hair and smoke to the side. He stared at the horizon to the north. Beyond these plains lies the great Markian Sea, and in the middle of it, a small island. Small, but very important. I am glad that you gave your support to Chancellor Hegel. It is unacceptable to see the Volgish locals of the island being destroyed by the anti-Volgish regime in Hegeland. The oppression transformed into a whole new level. All of this happened because Volksland joined the CSP. Now the Western powers are trying to get Agnolia to their side. They are selling them financial aid, weapons, and intelligence in return for pushing their political agenda. This whole firepower is now being directed at the locals in Hegeland. They want to finally eliminate the Volgish culture in the island and set up a military base close to Volksland. We cannot allow that to happen, can we? Let's see. Yes, I am behind Volksland in this conflict. That's good to hear. If we let them get away with what they do in Hegeland, they'll do a lot more. Whether they are Volgs, Agnolians, or Kontanins who are being killed, it doesn't matter. In the end, people are dying, and for no reason other than political aims of their governments. Everything has become a race for total influence in Merkopa. This is just a part of Arcasia's grand plan. They want the CSP removed from the region. Agnolia is their puppet in this cause. United Kontana will never allow Arcasia to install weapons so close to Volksland, nor let them harass CSP ships. They can't be given control of the Markian Sea. Hegeland cannot fall. So you think Arcasia's behind this? It's not a thought, Mr. Rain. I know. We have our agents everywhere. He took another puff. Started coughing heavily. One of his bodyguards in full military uniform that watched us from the sides rushed towards us with a bottle of water when he noticed Malenyev's coughing. Thank you, Mikhail, but I'm fine. The guard bowed in respect as Malenyev drank from the bottle. He then left the balcony with quick steps. So, where were we? Oh, whoops. Clicked the wrong button, I guess. Yes. Swordland's future in the CSP. He cleaned up the burnt tobacco residue from his pipe and refilled it. As you know, we formed the CSP only in reaction to the ATO. Their aim in the beginning was to stop us from uniting the entire continent under socialism. They failed. And now they're more scared than ever. That's why they're being more and more aggressive. Today, you need the CSP in order to survive against the economic power of the West. United Contana is willing to give everything it has to help others in their fight against Western dominance. That's why I have you here, Chairman Malenyev. He lit his pipe and took a puff. The wind pushed all of the smoke in my face. Without us, that's symbolic. Without us, Arcasia would dominate the world. The Arcasian lira is already crippling other economies while bringing all the wealth to them. Yet they claim they're the bringers of freedom. Absurd. Our pact aims to develop the rest of the world that were left out. Bring people together and make a stand. Show the world the power of the people when they unite. So, I hereby extend an invitation to Swordland. I want you to see you stand with us. What? That's probably supposed to say I want to see you stand with us. Will you stand with us against the threat of Rumburg? Of course. Rumburg is a threat to Merkopa. Surely they are being pushed by the Western powers to create instability in the region. Being a CSP member, nobody will dare attack you. And if any conflict occurs nonetheless, you will have the entire CSP's support. I promise you, their queen will no longer meddle in Swordland, nor Eastern Merkopa. What does the CSP offer for Swordland? Security first and foremost. CSP is a defense pact. You will have the backing of the entire military power of the CSP. I'm going to start making him talk faster. United Contana and all other members are obligated to defend each other in times of war. We also supply each nation with our military technology and assets, as well as financial aid when it's needed. All members supply each other with their resources and goods, not for their own profit, but for the profit of the pact. Our combined production output will benefit both Swordland and CSP. Not to mention, visa-free access to every country within the CSP, as well as other mutual assistance deals. It's great. You can go see museums. No passport needed. It's fantastic. Good vacation. He took another puff from his pipe. I will also offer you a small financial aid to help you kickstart your economy if you sign the deal. Chancellor Hager told me I can trust you with the money. Okay, so I guess I have to take all the options because I'm not going to decline. What do you expect in return? You must accept our doctrines and work towards the goals of the pact to further our power against the ATO. You will not import any technology from Arcasia, nor export natural resources to them. Well, that's easy. I don't even think I trade with them now. And finally, we want you to allow us to build a missile defense system on Duru Island, which will protect both Swordland and the CSP from the threat of the ATO. Ah, there it is. There it is. That's fine with me. Isn't that where Soul lives? That's fantastic. It's a deal, Chairman Malenyev. Woo! He smirked. It's good to see you stand with us, Comrade Rain. We shook hands. He slowly stood up from his seat, seemingly struggling. Now I'd like to have a rest, if you'll excuse me. Of course, Chairman Malenyev. Please come this way. Please. Let him back inside. Achievement unlocked! United against capitalism! Alright. Oh, wait. Did I get another one, too? But hold on. In the journal. We've joined the CSP. And, what's the news today? People are getting fired. What do you see? Countries. I think Volksland and us changed. Or I guess that's something else. No, it's over here. Country overview. Diplomacy, we've been embargoed by Arcasia. We have a Kontanan missile defense system. United Kontana has a superpower, has brought Swordland under its sphere of influence, and we're getting Kontanan military support. As required by our entry into the CSP, their liaison officers will work closely along the Swordish command staff, which includes the heads of our Army, Navy, and Air Force, to assist in the integration process of the Swordish Armed Forces into the United ATO military structure. Okay, that's clearly a typo. CSP officers are working closely with our generals to share their modern strategies and tactics with us, as well as training Swordиш soldiers. We have now an adequately equipped military. We got the anti-air missile base and a modernized navy. We can rival most navies, if not all. But that's obviously going to be key for taking Hedgeland. Administration announced Swordland CSP membership. President Rain has announced that Swordland will take the next steps to join CSP. The transition period will have no effects on the citizens during the earlier days. However, gradually our economy and society will begin to be integrated. Further integration with a Malenyevist society will certainly cause major shifts and has been protested against by the Swordish citizens. Militarily, CSP will now have substantial power over the decision-making of Swordish armed forces, which justifiably was not and will not be welcomed by many officials from the army. Swordland is joining the CSP. Best thing to happen in Eastern Marcopa in the last century. President Walker calls it a threat to the stability of the world. Prime Minister Alvarez refrained from making a comment. Yeah, because he's kind of alone down here. What, Welland's on his other border? All right, well, there we have it. Gonna have a late night at the Rain household next. But that's it. Okay, so big episode. We finally joined the CSP, which I think is going to prevent us from having to go to war with Rumberg. I think at least definitely on our side we need to stop it, because I think that Rumberg secretly has, I don't know if they have the nuke ready or if they're just getting it ready, but if we end up going to war with them now, nukes are going to fly, so let's not do that. But yeah, really cool. That was the first time I'd ever had an extended meeting with Leon, because I kind of, or event with Leon, because I flipped through his section of the United Nations meeting when I was doing my reformist run. Because like we weren't in an alliance with him, so I wasn't particularly interested. But thank you very much for joining me. I'm Conquering History Games, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.